I was watching TV the other day, and this show comes on with these religious fanatics. They were crazy. Well, you would think they were crazy if you didn't understand their culture and their religion. See, that's just the thing. They were worshippers of idols, and they took things to extremes. They painted their bodies. They wore these ridiculous costumes. They chanted, they danced, they made sacrifices to their idols. They had built these enormous temples to worship their idols in. It seemed like their entire existence climaxed into this one scenario, this one over-the-top act of worship. You don't really relate, do you? Let's try it again. I was watching TV the other day, and this show comes on with these religious fanatics. They were crazy. See, that's just the thing. They were worshippers of idols, and they took things to extremes. They painted their bodies. They wore these ridiculous costumes. They chanted, they danced, they made sacrifices to their idols. They had built these enormous temples to worship their idols in. It seemed like their entire existence climaxed into this one scenario, this one over-the-top act of worship. Idol worship. It's not just about golden calves anymore.
Is that food for thought?
I think that's a good setting to what we want to discuss, because I think everybody can start relating to what's going on there.
All right. The question is always, what is behind it?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it leading? What is the intention? And how can it serve the purpose of those that manipulate it?
Yes.
That's the question, right? All right, let's go to the book of Exodus. Exodus 32, verse 2 to 6. And Aaron said unto them, break off the golden earrings which are in the ears of your wives, of your sons, and of your daughters, and bring them to me. He made it a molten calf, and Aaron made proclamation and said, tomorrow is a feast to Jehovah. And they rose up early on the next day and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings, and the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play.
Mm.
Now, Martin, this sounds like an end time scenario. People were eating and drinking, and they were so involved in idleness.
Mm.
If you look at Sodom and Gomorrah, the great sin of Sodom and Gomorrah was idleness, an abundance of idleness, not knowing what to do with the time.
Yeah.
And so they rose up to play. Now, what did they play?
Before we go to what they rose up to play, it makes me also think of the banquet in Nebuchadnezzar's hall. They were eating and drinking, and they all were probably also
Correct.
doing all sorts of things just before a judgment came.
And in the Roman feasts, there was gluttony, there was eating and drinking, and then they had the games.
Yeah.
And they entertained thousands in their colosseums, etc.
Mm.
So they rose up to play. Now this play is sport.
Mm.
They were practicing sport, which was an ancient ritual, which was part and parcel of the sun worship ritual.
Mm.
So let's just go a little bit deeper. We read 13 manuscripts released. These scriptures are a treasure house of precious pearls, and you all need them. How much time is spent by intelligent human beings in horse racing, cricket matches, ball playing? But will indulgence in these sports give men a desire to know truth and righteousness? That's a good question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Will it keep God in their thoughts? Will it lead them to inquire, how is it with my soul? All the powers of Satan are set in operation to hold their attention to frivolous amusements, and he is gaining his object. Now many people will say, that's such a narrow view.
True.
Martin, can you show me one incidence in the Bible where there was sport, other than the text that we just wrote, which was in condemnation of what was happening. Do you find anywhere in the New Testament that Jesus and his disciples played ball games or anything of that nature?
No.
Are you sure? Have you read it carefully?
I'm quite sure.
There are lots of jokes
Maybe.
about it, where they twist the words to make it look as though they were doing things like that. But the answer is no, they weren't. And the question is, can one be happy without it?
That's a very good question.
Isn't that a good question?
Because it seems that the world will tell you,
you can't.
no, you
can't.
cannot.
You have to have these distractions. After all, the world is, it's such a difficult place to live in, and one needs something to take the mind off things.